ਮੇਅਰਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਤਨਖਾਹਾਂ ਅੰਬਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਛੂਹਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰਸ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ they are getting more pays than our premiers, the more pay than our prime minister, even almost touching there. Is it worth to give that kind of money to our mayors? Is it a wastage of money? And many a times we have discussed this issue that we should have a uniform approach towards policing and uniform approach to our municipal governments handling the issues. We can save money and we can save the wastage on many fronts. ਇਹ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਪ੍ਰਗਟਾਏ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸੂਬੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਬਕਾ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਮਾਈਕ ਹਾਰਕੋਟ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਨਾ ਕੇਵਲ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਬਲਕਿ ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਉਹ 3 ਵੇਰਾਂ ਮੇਅਰ ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਖਾਸਾ ਤਜਰਬਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਮੈਂਟਰੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਮਾਰੀ ਹੈ। ਸਤਿਕਾਰਯੋਗ ਮਾਈਕ ਹਾਰਕੋਟ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੱਸਣਗੇ ਕਿ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਾਰਨ ਬਣਦਾ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂ ਉਹ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਪ੍ਰਗਟਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਹੈਲੋ ਮਾਈਕ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਗੁੱਡ ਮਾਰਨਿੰਗ।
Morning, Jasbir. Good to talk with you again.
Mike, we have discussed this issue many times, actually, that what if we have a lesser wastage? We should have, collective approach toward our municipal affairs and policing and everything. But now you have talked about the same issue once again. Explain where from the idea comes and why you are convinced that this can help.
Well, we're reviewing the metro government right now anyways. So I think if we're going to review it, we should look at all options, including not just some incremental change, but some big changes. And I'm suggesting that some of the big changes could be reducing the number of members of Metro Vancouver from the 22 or so there now to 6 to 8 to amalgamate a number of the municipalities into one, like the whole North Shore, North Van City District, West Van, Bowen Island, Lions Bay could become one municipality, or Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, Port Moody could become one municipality. The same with Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge, and some of the electoral areas. Or the two Langleys could become one, or Surrey and White Rock one. So there's a number of integrations that we could do to cut down the number of municipalities. So that's one big change I'm saying that we should look at and look at it seriously. So number two, I was wondering why some of the mayors are making more than our prime minister and premier make. I think that, and then getting paid to be on the regional Metro Vancouver board as well. And thirdly, I think it's too bad Surrey went ahead and formed its own police when we should have gone to one Metro police like they have in Toronto and other municipalities. Just have one police chief and one force. So you don't worry about boundary chases and across municipal boundaries, and we've got one municipal force to deal with what's really regional criminals and crime. So those are some of the things that I'm suggesting that we should have a look at, and I'm not fiercely advocating them, but I feel that they're good ideas that should be aired.
No, of course, you were there once. You've been there, done that kind of scenario here. My two questions for you. One, while you were mayor city of Vancouver for 3 times, give us a rough idea how much your salary used to be. And part B of the question is, when you were in control of as a mayor or as a premier, what was the size of these institutions we are talking about?
Well, my salary was $50,000. That was the mayor's salary in those days. And matter of fact, one of the things the other idea that I think is a good idea is that the regional directors plus the mayors can be appointed, should be elected. I was elected a regional director the only time we did it in 1974. And I think that gives more direct accountability, that people can see who their regional director is from Vancouver or from Burnaby, and they're more accountable. Whereas now they're appointed by the councils. So So that was my pay then. My pay as premier was split between being premier was one pay, and cabinet ministers got paid, and being an MLA for Vancouver Centre and then Mount Pleasant, and I made $90,000 a year from both combined.
Inflation can be the one reason for salary which is going up, almost touching premier salary, almost being close to our prime minister's salary. Inflation can be one reason that I can understand. What do you think the other factors are that these mayors are getting that much money in their pockets?
Well, I don't have the answer. I think they have consultants that come in and advise on what mayors should be paid, and they compare it to the private sector. And I just think it's self-reinforcing that raises these salaries up and up and up. And I think it's time to have a pause. And I mean, I think mayors and council members should be paid well because they work hard now. It's a full-time job. It's not a part-time job anymore. It's 60 hours a week for a council member in Vancouver or Surrey, and many more hours for being mayor. So I'm not criticizing people being paid well, but over 300,000 when the prime minister and the premiers are making 250,000 with huge country and province to run and large bureaucracies and huge budgets. So I just think there needs to be some studying of that and having a good discussion about it amongst the public.
Political life is very challenging. Many a times when the issue of salaries come, my own opinion and our callers say that elected individuals, they should be paid well, because then there won't be any room for corruption. They are coming from different walks of life. They are lawyers, doctors, and many other professionals. They choose to be in politics for the betterment of the society. They should be paid well. If we don't pay them well, then the room for corruption exists there, right there. And lately, a few months back, talk about salaries of our MLAs. I think NDP government says, no, it's a bad time. It used to be a bad time for COVID-19, and now a bad time comes from Donald Trump's threats that we are being subjected to. And all of them, they are convinced. BC Conservative Party, they wanted to have more salary, but they also, for the obvious reason, they convinced that, okay, not for this time. We're going to think about some other day. Salary of MLA, salary of an elected MP or MLA should be reasonably good, because then this is a very challenging job, and nobody knows better than you yourself, sir.
Oh, no, listen, it is challenging. It's even more challenging now because of the social media and the attacks that politicians have to endure in public sector, and threats. And so you add to that, which I didn't have to deal with when I was in politics, and people were critical, and that's fine. I mean, I think people being frank and critical, it's one of the things I like about people in Greater Vancouver and British Columbia, is that people express their opinions, and I like that. I like people personally talking to me about what they don't like and what should be changed. So I don't think that's the problem, but it's a lot tougher being in politics now, Jasbir. So I agree, people should be well remunerated, and they shouldn't be threatened. And if people do threaten violence against politicians, the police should get a hold of them, and they should be charged and convicted and get stiff sentences. So I'm with you. I find but corruption is not a big issue. I found in my many years in politics, I found that 99% of the politicians that were there were there to improve their community. They had different ways of doing it. That's why we have different political parties in our democracy. But they were there for really good reasons, and not there to line their own pockets. I've probably, there's only 2 or 3 instances I can think of over the last 50 years where politicians were found to have been accepting bribes or being in conflict of interest or whatever. So you're right. We want our best people to be there to serve our community.
And lastly, let's conclude this, that what is suitable for Toronto, why do you think is not suitable for us over here? If they're doing good with the smaller size and all those things that we are talking about, and then why don't we accept that? Is it some sort of geographical reasons?
Well, I think the police, regional police, Wally Opal, and I have been advocating that for quite a while. We think back to some of the miscommunications that, for example, happened between the Vancouver and the RCMP over Robert Picton. The communication of information of the serial killer didn't happen until, tragically, a whole bunch of women were murdered by that evil man. And then there's the chases that happened at between Vancouver and Burnaby, and the change in jurisdiction, and I think it just would be a more better policing to change to a regional force. And Wally Opal and I agree on that, and I think it's something we should look at. And then a provincial force to take over the provincial policing, and let the RCMP concentrate, like the FBI does down in the U.S., on terrorism and espionage and the drug cartels and the bigger crime issues.
Mike, I want to thank you for your time, sir. Shukriya. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Always glad to come on your show.